Take a close look at a single frame inside a beehive. Thousands of insects are working in complete synchronization. Each colony acts as a coordinated biological labor force, maintaining precise internal conditions to protect the queen and store resources. The financial scale of this industry is massive. We're looking at a $10 billion global market, supported by over $240 million in US pollination fees. Yet entry costs range broadly, from $2,000 for a basic kit to $800,000 for an industrial facility. Approaching this as a casual hobby rather than a strict agricultural asset often leads to rapid failure. The logistics and the costs require a professional mindset. This wide gap in investment forces you to choose between two paths: a small-scale side hustle or a commercial-scale livestock enterprise. Most new beekeepers start by focusing on retail honey. But depending on a single commodity makes your business vulnerable to massive swings in production. A late frost or a wet, cold spring can shorten the blooming season, cutting your honey yield to near zero and leaving you with no income for the year. To build a resilient business, you have to diversify. You need to move beyond jars of honey and look toward pollination contracts or selling live bees. If you start from scratch, a 2-hive kit costs $2,000. That covers protective gear, bees, and a manual extractor. But manual gear creates a ceiling. You can only process so much by hand before labor costs outweigh returns. Moving past that ceiling requires a significant step up in infrastructure. You have to invest in a honey house, a dedicated facility with sloped concrete drainage and washable walls that meets FDA food safety standards. A scaled operation also brings heavy fixed costs. Between facility maintenance and specialized equipment, a commercial apiary can face overhead of over $7,000 a month. Because the financial gap between a backyard shed and a commercial facility is so large, you have to decide on your scale before you buy your first hive.
This video contains affiliate links. I have a relationship with the brands in this video and earn a referral fee when you shop through the links in the description below. Before we dive into sourcing your hives and choosing the right bee species, let's talk about your legal shield. You absolutely cannot start a honeybee business without a properly structured LLC or corporation. Think about it. You are managing live colonies of stinging insects, inviting workers onto your apiary, and selling raw food products for public consumption. Most people start beekeeping as a hobbyist sole proprietor, and that's exactly why a single severe allergic reaction from a customer or a product liability claim could instantly wipe out their personal savings and their home. Your business must be a separate legal entity to protect your personal assets from the unique risks of agriculture. That's where Bizzy comes in. Bizzy is the absolute best formation service out there, handling your entire setup for just $0 plus state fees. They manage your articles of organization, your legally required registered agent, and your EIN, which you'll need immediately to secure commercial insurance and wholesale distributor accounts. This is non-negotiable for an apiary brand. I've linked my full Bizzy review in the description. Use my link down below to register your business today and unlock exclusive discounts and perks. Get your protection handled first.
Once you have a site, you have to source the bees. You can either buy a basic package or invest in a nucleus colony, or nuke. A nuke is an established biological unit. It comes with a queen who is already laying eggs, along with drawn-out wax comb and food stores. Nukes cost more upfront, but they skip the weeks of development a package requires. That gets you to your first honey harvest much faster. But the equipment is only half the battle. You are managing living livestock. You have to commit to weekly inspections. You are checking for queen performance, managing hive splits, and applying consistent treatments for varroa mites. Standard industry losses sit at 80%. Only rigorous, data-driven management can bring that loss rate down to a sustainable 50%. Beekeeping is physical labor in heavy gear through heat and rain to keep your biological assets alive. Let's compare the revenue streams. Retail honey sits in the low-margin, high-volume quadrant. A healthy colony can produce a consistent crop, but the numbers are smaller than many people expect. You can realistically harvest about 50 pounds of honey per hive annually. At a wholesale price of under $3 a pound, that is only $150 in revenue per colony. When you factor in the labor of extraction and bottling, your profit per hour becomes very thin. Honey provides consistent consumer interest, but relying on it alone is the most difficult way to build a high-profit business. Pollination services offer a different profile, higher volume and moderate margins. Commercial beekeepers move hundreds of hives into almond orchards and blueberry fields to support the bloom. Rental fees for these contracts range from $185 to $225 per hive every season. The trade-off is logistical. You operate forklifts at night and risk disease in crowded apiaries. But the highest margins come from selling the bees themselves. A single 5-frame nuke colony can sell for $200. That is more than the total revenue from a full year of honey production from that same hive. Success here requires specialized knowledge in queen rearing and breeding cycles, which takes your focus away from the honey harvest. By combining these high-margin livestock sales with pollination fees and high-value varietal honey, you can dramatically scale your income. Now we can weigh the business model as a whole. On the positive side, you can test a small-scale operation for under $1,500. At scale, the revenue potential is significant. By diversifying into pollination, livestock sales, and specialty honey, a 50-hive operation can target an EBITDA of $124,000 in its first year. On the negative side, commercial fixed costs are high. You also face constant biological threats. Pests and disease can cause you to lose 30% of your livestock every single year. The rewards go to the systematic operators, who track every hive inspection and manage their costs like an industrial plant. Your long-term strategy in this industry depends heavily on your available startup capital and your personal appetite for financial risk. We can map the industry into 2 paths: the side hustler and the commercial scaler. Keeping fewer than 50 hives makes you a side hustler. You focus on direct sales of honey and beeswax products, looking at annual earnings between $500 and $10,000. This avoids major debt and infrastructure, offering sustainable secondary income. Conversely, the commercial scaler path involves aggressively expanding past 150 hives. By securing large-scale pollination contracts, a scaled operation can see its EBITDA grow toward $1.4 million. But you face massive capital expenditures, complex labor management, and strict regulatory filings. Beekeeping is highly profitable, provided you pick a nodle early and treat the colony as a biological unit of production, rather than a backyard hobby.